Can you guys hear me? Good thumbs up? Okay, good. And it's super busy and stuff, and there's like 8 million spaces going on at the same time. So, um, I did want to start off and kind of introduce everyone. Um, and I can't thank enough ex co-hosts for doing a lot of the legwork on the background for the spaces, getting some of our speakers all booked up and everything. It's a lot of work scheduling all that. So they are amazing. Um, I'm just going to kind of go as it's showing on my page. I want to welcome Layer 1X, and if you guys would like to talk a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll go to the next one.
Hey, can you hear me? Perfect. Hey,
Yep, we're good.
all right, sounds great. Thanks for having us. My name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X. Layer 1X is a fully decentralized blockchain that focuses on native bridgeless interoperability. We can move not only assets, but data and logic across chain while allowing the user to basically retain ownership of their assets. And so, yeah, excited to talk about Web3 gaming today.
Thank you so much. And I'm a big fan of your work, what you guys are doing, what you guys have built out in a short amount of time. No simple task. Next, I'd like to go to Blue Collar.
GM, how's it going, everyone? Sorry, I had a little troubles at the beginning of this space. I couldn't really hear anything, but dropped down and came back and it was all good. But I am the BD, New Business Development for Vaynar. We are an exciting new EVM-based L1 blockchain. We just wrapped up our testnet campaigns and we'll be launching mainnet here real shortly. So stay tuned for announcements on that. Thank you so much for having us in this space and excited to be here for a Saga space. I met the team over there in Dubai during Token 2049. Awesome guys. Y'all were great.
Love to hear it. Yeah, it's there was a lot of people that got to meet Gian in Dubai. That was pretty cool. I was happy you got to go out there and meet quite a few people. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to the discussion today. That's for sure. Um,
Hey, thanks guys. My name is Marcello. I am the head of community here at Beast League. We are a mobile sports game on iOS and Android, and we're currently available in a few select countries. Going to be doing our global launch very soon. Lots of stuff coming. Currently, we have over 100,000 downloads and thousands of active users every month. So yeah, really excited. We're cooking up a very big tournament. I know Travis Blue Collar is excited about that. But yeah, we're cooking a lot of cool stuff. I'm super happy to be here and love sharing the stage with a lot of legends here. Shout out to also Roy from Shadow War, and I'm not sure if it's Mikkel behind Forgotten Playland, but I'm a big fan as well. So and Layer One and all the amazing speakers here. I see Adam as well. What's up, Adam? Some people might know me from my previous role at IQ Protocol, but yeah, I'm currently now the new head of community here at Beast League. So happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Um, and next up, we got Magic Craft. Welcome.
Hi guys, happy to be here. My name is Alex. I'm the social media coordinator for MagicCraft. So MagicCraft is it's a mobile game available on all platforms: iOS, Android, and Steam. And recently, we've became a whole ecosystem based around our native token MCRT. So we have already released one new game called Magic Runner, and there's one more new game called Magic 8 Ball coming up. As well as that, we are planning to release many new different games this year. All of the games are free to play and play to earn. So yeah, our goal is to onboard millions of users in the upcoming years. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
Sorry, I have to do a little bit of a Kansas City shuffle here. My 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 phone is not working the best on my uh one of my phones, and it's like cutting out on sound. So I'm gonna have Spicy come up here as co-host. Thank you for your patience on that. Um, okay. Next, it looks like we have Mindless.
Hello, what is up? Good to see you all. Apologies having slight connection problems as normal. A little bit of a soft shell about myself. Been in the blockchain space for nearly a decade. Entered with the narrative of gaming and blockchain gaming, and I've never really looked back since. Seen a whole manner of things come and go, rise and fall, the rise of empires and everything else in between. Still here, currently heading up the BD side of things at Style Protocol. We are looking to make games and gaming assets interoperable between gaming ecosystems and gaming engines. We do that seamlessly. We are also looking to empower gamers and NFT owners to turn their assets into game-ready, playable characters that they can then use in any of these gaming ecosystems.
Love to hear it. And that's the thing. I love these spaces because we get so many amazing builders in here that are actually doing things that are worthwhile. I know like Beast League was talking about they're doing mobile. It's like mobile is so essential because it onboards the masses. Why? Because there's so many crappy mobile games out there. People are looking for some new, fresh stuff. And I love to see all these builders out here, man. We got some good. This is gonna be a good conversation. I'm very excited. Um, I think Roy, you were next.
Yo, hey guys, how do I sound?
Sounds like butter.
Wonderful, wonderful. Do love me some butter. Yeah, Roy Blackstone, Butterstone, CEO, founder of Patriots Division, working on video games, in particular Shadow War. We just announced our Series A funding round closed last week. Really getting a lot of hype off of that. Just had a few play tests as well, getting a lot of people in the community playing the game. So really hype on that. And actually, you were just mentioning, onboarding to the masses and all of that. And I've just been having a back and forth all day with Sony because we're going to be getting Shadow War on consoles pretty soon. So we got to get that PlayStation developer kit. And yeah, so that's sort of a little bit about me. Ready to get started on the spaces today.
I'm so excited for you. My buddy Code Compiler from Unreal Kingdoms got their PlayStation dev kit, and I think they go live on the 15th of this month. So I'm really happy for them. I know they're working on getting their Xbox as well. Um, and Diegard, and then uh, Forgotten Playland, you're next. So Diegard, go ahead. Welcome.
GM, I'm Bahal, Partnership Manager of Diga Labs. We have two projects. One of them is Digart, which is a Web3 gaming infrastructure, which provides end-to-end solutions for Web3 game developers and connects them with Web2 and Web3 users by simplifying users' experience. And the other one is Alderun, probably you heard them, which is a Web3 gaming studio. Alderun has 5 different games, and 4 games are on the blockchain. The other will be released on PlayStation. And Elden War were incubated by CD5, also partnering with Bybit and Layer 1x. And Layer 1x also launched their token yesterday. It was a pretty good TGE. Congrats to Layer 1x with much love and happy to be here.
We welcome you, and I also want to welcome Lord Wadsworth.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yes, I'm the BD lead for Curvance. Curvance is a agnostic reward layer on top of many of your favorite DeFi protocols, such as Velodrome, Aerodrome, Curve Convex, Balancer, and more. So while our protocol does not really focus too much on gaming, we do have a few gaming partners who are using us for things like liquidity, but gaming is kind of like a big passion and hobby of mine. So I'm glad to be here among many of you builders and excited for the conversation to be had.
I'm sure you're gonna be a great fit, and you're gonna fit right. I do want to welcome Adam.
Hey, thanks for having me on. My name is Adam. I'm co-founder of Spark. We're working on cross-chain crypto payments. So really focused on giving players a better experience where they don't have to worry about what chain they're on or what token they have or don't have. And we're working with a lot of really great teams in the Web3 gaming space, particularly. So Portal Coin is probably our most famous. We also did the Somo sale a couple of weeks ago. They took $20 million, I believe, which is pretty astounding. And we're also working with people like Futureverse, who've got the Ready Player One license as well, which is really cool. Previously to that, I founded a gaming studio myself. And with whatever free time I have, I find myself playing a lot of the Web3 games at the moment. And it's kind of having been in the space for 4 or 5 years now, it's actually great to find games I actually enjoy playing. So hopefully we see more of that in 2024. I can see a few of those on there now. Forgotten Playland is a good one recently I've had a go of. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Look forward to the chat.
Yeah, no, I welcome you, and thank you for building something cool. Like, I actually, that was one of the topics that we discussed was it's got to be a smooth transaction when you're playing games, because no one's going to want to be like, would you like to connect to your MetaMask? It's like, I'm in the middle of fighting a boss, you jerk. Like, just let me play the game. I hate you. So, no, that's awesome. Smooth transitions and smooth transactions is a big key to a good gaming experience. So, um, I am so sorry. Please forgive me. Forgotten Playland. I don't think you spoke yet. Am I correct?
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. And thanks again for having us and for remembering me. Nice to see so many friends on stage here. So I'm Mintat/Mikkel, do some marketing things for Forgotten Playland. I've been working in Web3 gaming for about 2.5 years, 4 years in the space. Forgotten Playland is a joint venture between Merit Circle and Declan Games, which is a Web2 game studio. We are a free-to-play social party game that just went live about 2 weeks ago. And kind of a fun fact about us for today, we just launched a Reddit ad campaign yesterday and had 500,000 impressions on our first day. So we're super excited about that, and definitely will be doubling down there, and excited about this conversation. I love the title is definitely giving me AVAX Web3 Gaming Sucks vibes from GDC. So I like the tongue-in-cheek title.
Love it. Yes. Yes. You gotta give them the little fish hook. Get them in, lure them in. They're interested. They just don't know it yet. Spicy, my guy. I love your hot takes. Welcome to the stage as a co-host. You are always welcome here.
Yo, what's up? What's up? GM. Feel like we made it now, man. We're now Samurai Saga's co-host. Officially here. It's a vibe, man. So if I accidentally rug one of you, just I have the power now, man. No, I'm joking. But no, it's dope to be here. Thank you for having us up as a guest. Anyway, always a vibe to be here with Samurai Saga. So yeah, man. Let's kick it.
And before we start off the space, I always ask like a please like and retweet so we could get the algorithm up. If you want to bookmark it, that's up to you. That always helps as well. And if you don't know about Samurai Saga, it will be a multiplayer game releasing soon. We do have the multiplayer demo out. We've been doing multiplayer testing. They're working on some of the final finishing moves and stuff like that. So you get those Ninja Gaiden finishes. It's rated E for everyone. It's definitely for kids. No, I'm just kidding. It's totally not for kids. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun today. So the topic discussion. Everybody loves gaming, obviously, especially the people in this room. I did some research, and it looks like by the year 2030, gaming for Web3 is going to be at $600 billion with a B. That's like 2 payments to the Ukraine from the United States. So like you got to imagine that's going to be some serious money, all right? Big industry, it's only growing, and like where I kind of want to start off is what focus does Web3 gaming industry need for a sustainable future?
So I don't know if that will happen to anyone else, but it kind of rugged for me the last part of the question.
I deeply apologize. I was saying with the market, hitting that 600 billion market by 2020, I'm sorry, 2030, what focus does the Web3 gaming industry need for a sustainable future? Mindless, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. I think there's obviously more than one way to answer this, and depending on who you ask, you'll get a different answer. You could say that we need to focus on regulation to bring in some sort of clarity to the space. You could say we need to focus on great games. We need to focus on redoing the way we look at the gaming space, because traditional gaming spaces are now relatively fairly flatline and boring. There's very little creativity and exploration there. So if you asked a game designer or a gaming startup, they would say, we need to go back to the basics of gaming to disrupt that space once more. And if you spoke to somebody from the Web3 space, they would probably say we need sustainable tokenomic models that just constantly allow you to print, and that will bring people in. And if you were to ask me, I think it's all of these things. It's all of the above, and perhaps a few things we haven't even considered yet.
Absolutely. You absolutely nailed it. And it is kind of an open-ended question because that's the thing. Do we know what's going to happen tomorrow? Absolutely not. Do we know what's going to happen tomorrow in Web3? Definitely not, because you can't be complacent in Web3. You have to be constantly evolving your roadmap because it goes all over the freaking place. And it's good that we speak and collaborate with a lot of brilliant founders that are open-minded to changing the narrative on maybe just their game, but also like how they approach rolling it out to the masses. Go ahead, Forgotten.
Well, thanks for stealing all the good ideas. Mindless left us with nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to double down on gameplay. And like, I think about like large Web2 companies who have scaled successfully, right? Like Netflix, it was dirt cheap at first. Like they did not care about making money. And I think we need to like adopt that principle here. It's all about getting users. Once you have the users, you can build out passive monetization. You will get more funding. You will extend your runway, and you will be able to solve that problem. But for right now, it's like it's all about the gameplay. We don't have a whole lot of games that people are sticking around to play long term. And I think that's the only way that we really start to turn the tables and get attention on Web3 gaming in a meaningful way.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you. Spicy, go ahead.
I miss the days of campaigns, man. That's what I miss. I think if we have more campaigns in gaming, I think we'll see a massive turn. Obviously, we call it Web3 gaming now, but the idea is to just call it gaming in the future. But I think we'll have more people onboarded, because the thing with like just having a game that's just multiplayer and online, yeah, it's cool. We can play with friends and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes I just want to kick back and just play by myself, maybe single player, or maybe just play the campaign, even if it is co-op, right? Like I've been going a lot more back to Xbox gaming because of this Backbone controller, and I've been playing Watch Dogs 2 recently. Never played it before. I've been playing the online, the single player campaign. Dope campaign, man. The game is like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years old, but I'm having a ton of fun. I'm running around hacking people. I'm screen recording it and sending it to my friends, being like, "Yo, this game is dope." Like it just came out yesterday. But that's just me personally. I love campaigns. Campaigns for me make the game, because it's like a climax, right? So you get the game, you play the campaign. Let's say it's GTA, right? Play that GTA campaign. Campaign is quite long. It's a good amount of time that you'd be spending playing, so it's not something you're going to complete in like a day. And then you have online, right? And then online's got its own kind of campaign in a way, right? To level up your character, do different missions, all this kind of stuff. So there's always something new coming out, whether it's a campaign or a DLC. With games that we have now, it's just straight multiplayer. And just bringing out straight multiplayer. Like, imagine if you did this. If you're a game, you just worked on a campaign. You said, look, there will be multiplayer, but right now, when we launch the game, it's just going to be campaign. Okay? Could be a pretty cool story mode, like 10 missions. It doesn't even need to be like 2 months long. It could be a few hours long. Just give people something to do in the meantime. Then you have all that time to work on a multiplayer that doesn't need to come out in alpha. It can maybe come out beta or maybe even further because now you've had more time to work on it. So I think one, it gives the game companies more time to work on multiplayer to make it better, right? But the other thing as well is people aren't just playing a multiplayer game because then it doesn't matter what genre game you are just going to be the same as the other one. What do you have different? Not nothing really. We're just multiplayer. But we're on like Binance Smart Chain. Okay, what do you have different? We're on Solana. There's no difference. You're all just multiplayer. So I think bringing back campaigns in like as a flex, I think that will really really help because I don't know about you guys, but I never really watched a lot of online multiplayer tutorials on YouTube. My thing was campaigns. I would watch a full blown walkthrough of Batman Arkham Asylum and then play the game as if I didn't see it. I'd watch it like a movie. They'd include the cutscenes. The guy would be talking in the background. He'd just be bantering, all that kind of stuff. I love that. I watched Halo walkthrough campaigns, but never watched anyone play online. It was very, very rare. And I know there's some other people like that. So I think bringing back campaigns doesn't just help us, make a mark in the future in the next coming years. I think it will also help with bringing more people towards the Web3 gaming era, and then moving Web3 gaming just into gaming generally.
You bring out a great point, and that's the thing. I'm sure we've all noticed that, like, as time progressed, the narrative really shifted from, oh, it's got to be multiplayer. We got to have the best multiplayer, and all you saw was shorter campaigns with no real volume or content with them, and you never fell in love with the characters. They were just kind of like empty shell of a man people that just, it was like, all right, well, we got to stop the MacGuffin aliens or whatever it was. It was just stupid. And it was like you beat the campaign and it was like, well, I beat it and I got my Xbox Live achievement. Now what? And they just go back to playing multiplayer. But when you play a game like BioShock and you finish the game and you sit there for 30 minutes contemplating life, that's something special. Or you play Fallout and it blows your freaking mind on how well it's done, that that can kind of change your life. It'll give you an impact. You like it so much you get a tattoo on your body because the game was so good. Then you know the game's good. So yeah, I think we get more of these games, and that's the thing. A lot of people are leaving the gaming industries because they're like, no, this company sucks. This studio sucks. And what are they doing? They're seeking out Web3 gaming companies, and they're like, oh, you guys are doing it right here, and they're actually getting to realize that they have fans that they didn't know all along, and they're getting to talk to the holders while they're building out the game. They're doing live workshops and stuff to show how they do the 3D modeling and stuff. It's amazing. Like, we've never had this experience before. I am so sorry. I don't know who was first, whether it was Beast League or Adam. I want to say it was Beast League. Am I right?
Yeah, I think it was me. I'll just go and jump in, but I love all the points that people are mentioning. I think this is great. I love a lot of the points Mindless mentioned as well. Forgotten Playland, Spicy. I'll focus on one piece, and I think definitely bringing on gamers. Targeting traditional gamers or just people that care about gaming. I think is the most important thing. I think some of you have already mentioned that piece, but I think overall, just the Web3 gaming community is incredible. I love it. I'm a part of it, but it only goes so far, right? And I think the important piece here is if we're going to really hit the mainstream, we need to continue to just bring in traditional gamers, and I think that's the direction that we're going to end up going. Anyway, people aren't going to be looking for Web3 games. They don't care about that. I think Web3 games overall, they're just games with a different infrastructure that we call the blockchain. Eventually, I think we're going to hit a zone that we won't even call them blockchain games, crypto games, NFT games, or Web3 games. They'll just be games on the blockchain with, Web3 mechanics. in-game assets will be NFTs, and away we go, you know? So I think there's going to be a realization point over the next 5 to 10 years. We're already kind of seeing it, you know? You go to a launcher like Epic Games, there's dozens of quality Web3 games right now. What's going to happen in 5 years when, you know, we're really getting quote unquote AAA titles? I think, you know, they're just going to stand out on their own, and people are going to be like, holy fuck, I want, sorry for swearing, but like people are going to see these games and they're just going to want to play them. And it's like, oh shit, I actually own the assets. Oh, wait a minute, I don't get banned for trading these assets, unlike a lot of these quote unquote, you know, traditional games. You sell any skins, you sell any assets off of the game, you know, you get banned because it goes against the terms of service. Whereas like in Web3, we encourage that, you know. So I think there's just going to be a standout point eventually where a lot of these games are really going to stand out. And it's, you know, whether it's the meta or whatever, I think people are really going to start catching on and realizing that these blockchain games, or whatever we call them, in 5 years are really gonna stand out, and people are gonna naturally gravitate to them. And it's just, even, you know, forget the blockchain mechanics, just the community aspect, the transparency, the lower barrier of entry when it comes to a lot of these Web3 games. It just changes the ethos in so many ways that I think that a lot of Web2 games don't have to offer. You know, I jump into a Discord for a lot of Web3 games, the community's there. It's like it's so easy to communicate with the team. You know, in many cases you jump on a Twitter space and it's like you could speak to the founder or the CEO of a lot of these games in a way that you can't do that for Blizzard or Activision or a lot of these big developers, right? So I just feel like the ethos that Web3 has already built will only stand out so much more over the next 5 to 10 years, and it's just going to be interesting to see how things unfold. So all to say, you know, there's so many pieces to this answer. There's definitely many variables, but the point I wanted to stick on with my with what I'm saying here is definitely, you know, onboarding players, you know. And I think that, you know, $600 billion in, you know, I don't know how many years you had said, but you know, that's very realistic already. Just today, the web 2 gaming market, I don't know the figure, but it's easily maybe 250 billion. So it's like we haven't even reached that anywhere close to that when it comes to Web3 games, and it's just the sky's the limit. You know, the sky's definitely the limit, and I think I just get excited when I talk about it because it's like, you know, there's just so much more to grow. And yeah, I think people are going to catch on eventually and realize that, wow, these games are actually really have something to offer for their players. It really empowers gamers. And yeah, it's really just a matter of time. But yeah, definitely onboarding just regular players, like you said, Walt, in the beginning. Like, you don't want to be doing fighting a boss and just have a MetaMask transaction coming up in your face. Like, you want to just be able to play the game. And I think we're already seeing that. You know, a lot of games right now within the space, the onboarding process is seamless. You know, it's something we do at Beast League already as well, and so many other games. But you could sign up with an email account, maybe with a Discord, or you just create an account, and it's like you don't have to connect your MetaMask or any wallet. You know, and I think that as we continue to make it more seamless and the experience becomes more smooth, it's just going to become more attractive for the masses. So I already think we're on our way. It's just, you know, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time, really. And I'm excited to continue seeing this. I'm onboarding one of my best friends who's a Web2 player. He plays Valorant, Call of Duty, GTA. And it's like I'm getting him to try a lot of these games now. And it's so much easier compared to a few years ago. And, you know, there's still some obstacles, but it just goes to show how much we've already come and how much more we have to go. And yeah, it's really exciting. So yeah, that's my bit.
And I want to congratulate you because it's no small task onboarding anybody into Web3 because everybody thinks we're absolutely insane, which we're pretty level headed people, some more than others. And it's what they immediately think is, oh, this game's gonna suck. This game looks stupid or something. Until they actually see at the heart of it all, there's still games. And everybody loves to play video games. So I think as the industry progresses, I think focusing on some of these like narratives of tokenomics and stuff, I think from an investment standpoint, yes, that has its point, it has its need, but that's no way to onboard anybody into a game is tokenomics. Their eyes will glaze over like Arya Stark when she goes blind. So we don't need that. What we need is like a simplistic way to just describe this is a video game, just like you've played in the past, but hey, you might be able to make some money on this. What do you think about that? Sounds good. Okay, sign me up. And Adam, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you. No, I agreed with that. I think Marcelo made some really good points there. I think I put my hand up originally because I agreed with what you and Spicy were saying about campaigns. Actually, I think that's an interesting point because they're really important because that campaign and that kind of narrative and the story that deepens the connection to the IP and the characters. And I think sometimes in Web3 we skip this step because it naturally lends itself to multiplayer games because if you own your assets, you generally want to be in a multiplayer environment where you can flex them and use them with other people. So Web3 lends itself that way. But if you kind of skip that story and you skip that campaign, maybe people never care about these new IPs. They never really get invested in that same way. So I think that's a interesting point to think about. And maybe a lesson learned there for Web3 builders is don't skip that bit because you actually need to build that attachment to your IP or it just won't endure. You know, like the best IPs are like people's sort of fan favorites. So it's a bit of an aside, but I like that one. I think in terms of like the original question, I think it does feel very far away to having a sustainable industry right now. Like we all know it's funded by VCs and retail investment in NFTs and tokens. There aren't that many real players, and that's true. So it's no surprise. It's not surprising that the majority of people think we're crazy, or like you speak to people in the traditional gaming industry, and they're just like, they still don't get it. And yet your headline stat was 600 billion market, I think, by 2030. There's a reason intelligent people predict that, right? And I think to quote, I think it's Sam Stafina from Wolfsdow, like Web3 gaming is inevitable. I believe in that. I think to me, the idea that you fast forward 5 years and you are not seeing people owning their digital assets, trading their tokens, and wanting to own that stuff, and kind of spending a lot of time in these kind of virtual worlds where that's just a normal thing. That to me is the unbelievable part. Like I'm happy to bet on that. But of course, it won't look like today. It won't be clunky. It won't have the kind of tokenomics first approach. It will probably look very different and be very different to how we imagine it. And I think right now we're in that sort of pioneer phase where the people in the industry today, like the mission is prove it works. Find the commercial model, find the kind of ways of doing this, and then everyone else will follow. So I think it's interesting for me being at Spark, sort of working with a lot of different teams, is I get to see a lot of different approaches and lots of different experiments. And I'm kind of rooting for them to see which ones of them break through. But I'm sure they will. And then we'll see a lot of people follow on.
And you definitely raise a good point because if you do think about Ernest Cline's book like Ready Player One, which was made into a movie, very popular movie, and what pretty much the metaverse is based off of and stuff, what you would say the gold standard is, you have to imagine as AI technology progresses, look, it's not gonna like, pull a Randy Marsh and be like, oh, they took our jobs. It's not gonna take every single job, but there are going to be a lot of jobs that are replaced by animatronics, all that kind of things. So robotics are just automated systems that are just not needed for menial tasks. So as these things progress, people are going to need to find some other form of income. And I think a lot of people may gravitate to Web3 gaming. And if it's profitable enough, they're going to spend a lot more time into these ecosystems. So just like what you guys are saying and what Spicy said, if there's a good storyline, you really connect with these players, you're going to want to spend as much time as you can in these worlds and stuff like that. So I am very excited to see where some of these companies go. Like many of the speakers on this panel, like honestly, your games are amazing. And it's like, I know for myself, like just being part of the Samurai Saga team, I have been waiting so long to finally play this game, and now that I get to see it come to fruition and dealing with all the FUD that people are like, oh, it's never gonna happen, it's never gonna happen. It's because they don't understand gaming. It takes a long time. You're building a world. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Layer 1X wasn't made overnight, right? Like, these things take a long freaking time. So if you understand from the initial, hey, this is gonna take a couple years, but when it's done, it's gonna be badass. Um, Layer one, go ahead.
Heck yeah, it's definitely going to be badass. I love that. Um, the Yeah, I mean, I look at some of the games that we've been speaking with, and it's really interesting because you know they're starting to step out of that game studio kind of feel and starting to get into tokenomics and building out some of the blockchain technology that needs to be implemented for their games to work the way that they want them to on Web3. And so they're kind of, in my sense, they're kind of spreading them quite thin. So coming at it from a layer one strategy, I feel like the layer ones really need to start stepping up their game in the sense of adding more tech, adding more functionality, adding more capabilities for games so that they don't have to build these things. They can come in, they can focus in on the games, like has been mentioned. Their previous speakers had talked about getting their Sony and their Xbox kits and things like that to go on it. And that's one thing that L1X is basically focused on, is trying to create that kind of hardware-less console concept where games can come in and they can build and they can have that interoperability, they can have that speed. You know, by us having two virtual machines, it makes it so much more efficient in smart contract execution, which it reduces costs and increases speed. Being able to tap in with digital identity on top of that so that the gamers can take their profiles from game to game and they don't have these siloed profile experiences, you know, and likewise be able to monetize off of it, right? And so as we're kind of like looking at these things, it's even going a little bit deeper. You know, big shout out to Diga Labs. I mean, those guys are freaking awesome. They've been great partners with us. And our whole partnership there is basically aims to create a very limitless Web3 gaming ecosystem where they're leveraging our blockchain technology and Diga Labs dynamic gaming ecosystem is going to be phenomenal. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised at some of the new benchmarks we're going to start setting in the Web3 gaming space as a result of that partnership. So glad to see him in the space today.
Yeah, there's that's the thing. It's like when we got the list of speakers today, I was like, oh, we got a full panel. So, um, I was very excited about that. Yes, go ahead, Spicy.
Yeah, I think the whole idea behind that campaign, if you like really think about in terms of marketing for building the Web3 brand, building the Web3 gaming ecosystem, if you look at Halo, everyone that went a multiplayer at one point in time tried to make their character look like Master Chief. Look at Call of Duty. When you were able to customize your characters, at one point in time, every Call of Duty after Ghost, and I'm not talking about Call of Duty Ghost, I'm talking about a character, right? Modern Warfare days, tried to make their character look like Ghost. Ghost Mask till today is like in the branding for Warzone, right? If you look at games that did really well with their campaigns, they had this group or this one single character that people just remember for a decade later. It's crazy. A good campaign equals good branding. And games are able to brand themselves around these characters. Halo Reach was a off-canon campaign. The campaign was not linked to Master Chief at all. It wasn't linked to Halo 1, 2, 3, Anniversary, any of those. It was its own game. That game till today, there was 6 characters, nobles 1 to 6. You played Noble 6 in the campaign. You could customize your character, blah, 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 blah. I know for a fact that people that played Halo Reach tried to make their character look like another character called Emil, who had a like ghost kind of skull for his mask, and he had these massive shoulder pads. He always ran around with a shotgun, right? He was like the heavyweight in the group, and there's another guy called George. So these two characters, people tried to look like them because they were iconic characters in the game. Other games that have really good campaigns, as I said, there's really good characters. this stuff works when it comes to multiplayer because, like I've heard already, Samurai Saga already said it. You have that character that you connect with. It's not just some character that's shallow and has no story. No, this character has a storyline. So in a way, you try to play like that character in game without even knowing, right? You think your character can do what this character does. The character is a fake character; it doesn't even freaking exist. It's from the campaign, but you were so invested, right? No money. You were invested just playing time wise, right? You invested time into this game and you fell in love with the character's storyline, with the cutscenes, with this, with that, with whatever it is. How many people till today still, if you watch the scene where Ghost gets taken out, you're pissed off? You're literally looking at the screen. There's nothing you could do. You're lying there on the floor. You're like, that's my guy, bro. You just took out my guy. And now you just can't wait until you take him out and then Ghost comes back and all this other stuff. And it's crazy, right? So Call of Duty did well with that. And the other games did well with their own campaigns. Like with Need for Speed, their character is not an actual person. The character is the car. Some Need for Speed games did very, very well with Need for Speed in the sense that in most racing games like Asphalt or any of these other games, if you get your first car is not the car you end with, right? You have to continuously upgrade to different cars to build up speed, to build up all this other stuff, right? The reason a lot of people liked Fast and Furious is because it wasn't, well, the first ones anyway, it wasn't just Lamborghinis and Ferraris that were racing. It was Nissans, it was muscle cars, it was average cars that were pimped out to the point of maximum output, right? They changed the engines, all that kind of stuff. In some Need for Speed games, what they did, if you chose your first car, it could be a dead car. It could literally be the lowest ranking car. What they allowed you to do, they allowed you to actually change the engine so it matches high performance cars. So you can actually keep your car. So recently, I started playing Need for Speed Heat. This has easily probably become one of my favorites because in the campaign, I didn't change. That's a lie. I changed my car once because I wanted a different muscle car, but I kept the muscle car flex because I was like, you know what? I'm kind of bored with Ferraris and Lambos and high performance cars. I want to drive a muscle car. I want to feel what this is like. I literally had a Ford Mustang and a an old school Charger. When I say I maxed the heck out of these cars, I maxed them out, and it was so fun because I was able to build a connection with the car. Even though it's a game, right? This probably sound, if I was to say this to anyone else, they look at me like I'm crazy. They'd be like, bro, the cars are real. But to me, I put time into that. So now when I take that car online, I can do unlock DLCs, I could do this, I could do that, I could show the car off to friends, I could show the car off to anyone. So I think as I say, like with a campaign, I think the main point that a lot of people miss is, and this is something I actually only thought about on this space, a good campaign has great branding. Whether it's a thing, an object, a character, whatever it may be, it's going to be something that's remembered like we've seen already. Halo came out in the freaking 90s, bro. Master Chief is still remembered till today. Call of Duty characters are still remembered till today. Scenes from World at War is still remembered till today, and all these other games that are wicked that have a dope campaign. And we saw it with Fortnite. When Fortnite first came out, after a few months, they started to add these little side mission things that were kind of linked. And I know for a fact a lot of games that do this today that have side missions, they got it from Call of Duty, I think Modern Warfare. Because I don't remember if you guys remember, but there was these side missions. I forgot what they were called, but they were dope. There was like this one with the you go down like a ski slope or something, and you have these snowmobiles, and there's all these other side missions that weren't linked to the main campaign. But this goes back to my first point: when you have a campaign, you have a climax. You have campaigns, you have side missions, you have side quests, you have all this other stuff, and then you have multiplayer. So it's like you're not going to get bored of the game. It's going to be continuous until the next one comes out. So I think, yeah, my main point is just campaigns equal good branding if the campaign banks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of that goes back to marketing. Are you doing the same old tricks with marketing, or are you somewhat leveraging AI technology to enhance things, cut down a lot of the editing times to make some really powerful emotional storytelling Whereas maybe you don't need such a massive team. You can do it with like less people. I think that's a huge deal. Um, I did want to ask if was there anyone else that wanted to comment on that, or we can go to the very next question if that's okay. I know Magic and Roy, Dygard, Lord. Did any of you guys, or Blue Collar, did any of you guys want to talk further on the industry's sustainable future, altering it, or just going down the same path?
I was having some issues. Had to restart my phone for this last little segment. But if I'm answering the question correctly, loved what Mindless said, by the way. But I think one of our biggest hurdles in Web3 that we really need to is for long sustainability to actually catch that wave is accessibility. Being where the gamers are, stop trying to create new markets, meet the market where they're already at. Being on the Apple Store, the Android Store, PlayStation and all these other ones where the gamers are now, is really a key step in bringing the gamers in and creating these long-term kind of serious games.
Absolutely. And it was funny. I was literally just gonna close the space down after Mindless commented. I was like, "Oh, well, pack it up, guys. Let's go home." No, I'm just kidding. Um, so one thing I want to go on to the next question. Web2 studios in a lot of cases now, and it has been commented on earlier in the space, they produce somewhat bland games annually for just a quick cash grab. How is Web3 gaming going to shake up the industry to its core? Mindless, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So this is something that's really close to my heart, and it's actually one of the things that got me into the gaming space here within the blockchain sector, you call it. A deep-seated love for indie game design all round. And generally speaking, my view is that I think some of the biggest disruptions to the gaming space come from the indie design space always. It's never top down, it's bottom up. It's from like the base layer grassroots level. That's where all of the experimentation, all of the failures, all of the ingenuity and creativity happens. And out of that emerges, a whole new genre of gaming, a complete new battle modes, complete new play styles. We saw this with the likes of even PUBG, for example. That whole battle royale thing began in the game indie design space, and then it was quickly taken up, and then eventually snapped up by the likes of Epics and turned into what we have Fortnite today. And this repeats over and over and over again. And I think for anybody who's in the design space from the gaming industry will know that some of the biggest problems that small teams face is just resource financing, the lack of a fair opportunity, because you're going up against some of the biggest giants in this space who will have $100 million marketing budget. That's 100 times more than an entire development budget for an indie design team, right? Indie design team could be one person, it could be 5 or 6 people, right? So I think this is where Web3 comes in. It actually has the opportunity to offer that much needed early stage attention, resource, capital, financing, connections to the industry. In a way, it kind of makes it a little bit fairer for the little guy. The smaller indie design teams that really, up until now, have been just left out there in the dark. But I think this has some issues along with it because it could be taken advantage of. We see it all the time, right? We see it with teams that pop up out of nowhere, claiming to be building something, raise something, and then just disappear. So it has to be taken with a little bit of caution, but I think this is where the industry really sort of changes things up compared to traditional Web2 gaming.
Yes, yes, sir. And when I'm thinking about indie gaming and stuff like that, um, there's certain games that like a lot of people don't like the fact that Xbox has their Game Pass, but I love it because it gives me an opportunity to try out a lot of these indie games that I probably wouldn't spend 30, 40, $50 on, but I download them and I literally fall in love with them. And it literally opens up a lot of opportunities for me to explore a lot of different gaming studios. I played Unravel, which is a multiplayer game. Wonderful story. Absolutely fell in love with it. I play it with my daughter. She's 5, and it's helping her with puzzle solving. So, hey, has games ever helped anyone? Yes, it's helping my daughter learn. So, um, but when you talk about story, nobody can touch storylines like Telltale Games. Those games have legitimately made me cry because I was so attached to characters, and when they died, it's such a deep-seated emotional response. It's like I had my best friend. He's like, "Dude, did you cry playing this game?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think everybody did." It's like you just get so attached to these people, and you're like, "Why am I crying playing a video game?" But that just goes back to if you have a good storyline, a good campaign, it can carry everything else on its back. No problems. Go ahead. Is it Digard? Digard? I'm so sorry. I didn't hear the pronunciation because my phone was being stupid with Twitter. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. It's Digard. And Web2 game studios experienced a great rise with the beginning of the pandemic, right? New games were developed and the sector grew. As you mentioned, especially in the indie game genre, we see a lot of developers, but mostly they are copies of each other and ordinary. I'm mostly excited about technological developments in the Web3 gaming industry. For example, imagine playing a Heroes of Eldraine trading card game with your favorite World of Elminia's RPG champion, and then you can play a Eldarush MOBA with the same champion. Then you can even use it on Twitter and other social media because you own it. If someone had told me something like this a few years ago, I would have called them like crazy.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at how much stuff's evolved just in the last 2 or 3 years, um, and where we're going in just a couple months, honestly, I think 2024 is gonna onboard a lot of people into Web3 gaming, and 2025 is gonna be no different. It's gonna be even more. It's gonna be just a snowball effect, and I love that these indie games are becoming like kind of a tent pole for how to build out your game, how to onboard the masses, and how to deliver it properly that doesn't sound confusing, isn't focused on, oh, you can make money off of this with the tokenomics, and let me tell you about no, don't talk to anybody about tokenomics. It's too confusing. But um, leveraging some of this technology, like what Layer 1X is doing, is good stuff. Like we need these things because as time progresses, games games are going to be needing to be built on the blockchain, and a lot of these studios are not going to know how to do all this stuff, so they're going to look for a source for a smooth transition and say, hey, we got a game, we just don't know how to really put it on the blockchain. Oh, you guys do this, what about this? Yes, we do that too. It's a one-stop shop, we can take care of everything in one shot. That's going to make, I think, a lot more, not just Web2 gamers, but a lot of Web2 companies say, oh, it's not so bad. There's somebody that has it figured out. And security is going to be a big thing. That's something that I'm going to be discussing next week. Thank you. Uh, Web3 security is very essential, as well as collaboration. Um, and I think the more that we teach people about Web3 security and don't scare the ever living shit out of them is good. Like if someone has um, a simplistic guide of how to protect themselves in Web3. And I really do feel that it extends into Web 2 because there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, hey, I really need to lock it up with how I have things set up on my Web 2. That's a big deal. And if we're educating people, I think that's appealing to want to join because they're like, we actually give a crap. That's why I have mad respect for Wallet Guard to onboard something like Nifty Island. Nobody got hacked. Nobody got drained. That's a big deal when you're launching a big game. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Blue Collar.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as far as like Web3 gaming, like I think it really engages people at a whole new and deeper level than like traditional gaming does now, and I think that's a big problem with normal Web2 gaming right now. It's gone just like boardroom. I feel like all these gaming studios. It feels like it's a bunch of 70-year-old guys that haven't played a game since like the original Monopoly, and they're just making decisions based on like profit for these games. And gamers are feeling it with all these new games and coming out, and the gaming industry in general. And I think that's where Web3 gaming can really have its advantage, and really kind of take the gaming industry by storm. Is, how engaging it can be, and how in tune and in touch a lot of the Web3 gaming industry is with the market. And I revenues are down in gaming, in traditional gaming, and very few studios out there are making money right now. They're all in cash burn, or losing money year over year right now. And it's because they have lost the player, and they've become about the money. And, at the same time, I think they're looking around like, why is profits down? And they don't realize, like, they're not taking care of their industry like they used to, or the same way it used to be, 15 years ago in gaming, or 20 years ago in gaming, when it was like about the gamer.
Yeah, well, and they've gotten disconnected from their average consumer. That's the biggest difference between Web3 gaming and Web2 gaming. They just have these, hey, have we done a survey? Like, dude, no, you gotta talk to. That's why, I have a lot of friends that are in, and I think it was last week we did the music, and we had Violetta on there. We have all these uh studios, labels. There you go, the labels, the companies. They cannot figure out Web3, and the reason is they don't know their customers. And the reason why Web3 musicians are doing so good is because they're not only meeting their customers, their fans, but they're becoming friends with them. They're having an actual relationship with them that doesn't exist in Web 2. And Web 3 gaming is no different. That's why it's going to be such a smooth collaboration. And that's why we're going to have such um, a passionate drive to get these games out there for the masses, because we've been there while it was being built. We watched them code out the game. We saw them have issues with, maybe the multiplayer didn't work at first, but we got it fixed. It's okay. And now we got music, and now we got voice actors, and the game looks good. It's polished. We swapped over from Unreal Engine 4. Now we're on Unreal Engine 5. Like, being a part of that growth period is awesome. So whereas a lot of people are like, oh, I hated the bear market. No, I love the bear market, because I got to see who the people that had real grit and put their nose to the grind stuck out, because now their games are coming out and they look good. They don't look like that cheap crap that we saw in like 2021 and 2020. Now these are some good looking AAA title games, and it's like, I'm just happy that I've been able to build such a good relationship with some of these companies, because they're doing it right. And if you do take an interest in people, they're going to do the same, and they're going to tell everybody they know about it. Go ahead, Blue Collar.
Yeah, I was just gonna make one other quick point that I meant to make. When you were talking about scams, there, like, so one of my buddies told me the other day about, like, Web3 is just too many scams, and so people never, or industry, or whoever will never adopt it. And I think that's kind of bullshit, to be honest. Like, if you think about it, when the telephone came out, like, it was a hub for scams. Email was a hub for scams. The United States Postal Service, your mail is full of scams. Like, it's not going to stop it, and scams are in literally every industry, every sector, everywhere. It's just people will, understand how to control it, and new tools and things, like you were talking about with Wallet Guard, will be coming out and coming to market that kind of help protect the consumer as well. So I'm never scared about the scams part, and I know some people talk about it, but name me an industry or sector that's not, full of scams, and we can talk.
We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Could you imagine that popping up while you're trying to play Samurai Saga? I'd be like, what the? I'm just kidding. That'd be so
Man,
funny.
that voice sounds so familiar. I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness.
Not
Um,
gonna lie, you should now do that just for bant. So everyone in the space that plays will be like, I remember this.
Put it in the game.
yeah, well, that's the thing. I love trolling certain things. Like, I had to troll people after the Ape Fest, because I said, have you or a loved one been exposed to a blinding light at an Ape Fest event? You may be entitled to compensation. but that's in the past, and nobody died. We are hitting the hour time. I did want to just kind of close it up with some statements. And my goodness, thank you so much, ex co-host. You guys are the best. Thank you, Spicy. You've been a great co-host as well. Um, is there anything you guys would like to add to the conversation, or something that you didn't get in, or something that you're looking forward to with Web3 gaming? Well, I do thank you all so much. We're gonna be doing we're gonna be doing another space next week, same time. I'm looking forward to that space. Um, I actually have a special guest that next week. I'm gonna be talking to Charles, from Nifty Island, about collaborations because that's a very big deal. Collaborations are the key for Web3. So I'm looking forward to that space. I hope to see some of you next week. That's gonna be a great space. Um, I got to tie down a couple other people that I may have on as guests. But I cannot thank you enough for joining us. This was an awesome conversation. I'm a little bit irritated because the conversation went so fast, and an hour felt like it was 10 minutes. But you guys really contributed so much to it, and I love these spaces. I always learn something, and it's just a pleasure being a part of such an awesome network of brilliant people. So thank you so much for stopping by. And you guys have a wonderful afternoon or evening, depending on where you guys are at. And we will catch you next week.
Thanks.